opt out or contact us anytime. But even before Mr. Trump said he would appoint Mr. Flynn as his national security advisor, questions swirled around Mr. Flynn's connections to Russia, particularly a dinner he was paid to attend in Moscow in 2015 when he sat at the same table as Russian President Vladimir V. Putin. Throughout the campaign, Mr. Flynn was an intense and vocal advocate of closer relations with Mr. Putin, arguing that the United States must work with the Russians to battle extremists. After he was named National Security Advisor, he continued to urge closer cooperation between the two nations. The White House has said that Mr. Flynn has no information to provide prosecutors that would hurt Mr. Trump. A deal between Mr. Flynn and the special counsel is nonetheless significant. He was a key figure in the Trump campaign and the transition team. As Mr. Mueller tries to understand the behind-the-scenes story of those months, hearing from Mr. Flynn is important. Mr. Flynn was a sometimes high-profile member of Mr. Trump's campaign, often appearing on Fox News to advocate for the candidate's foreign policy views. Like Mr. Trump, Mr. Flynn was a brash, outspoken critic of former President Barack Obama, asserting that Sharia, or Islamic law, was spreading in the United States under his watch, a claim that was repeatedly debunked, and saying that the United States is in a world war with Islamist militants. A controversial figure in the defense and intelligence community before joining Mr. Trump's campaign, Mr. Flynn served as the head of Mr. Obama's Defense Intelligence Agency. But he repeatedly clashed with Obama administration officials, who succeeded in persuading the former president to push him out of the intelligence job. Advertisement. Continue reading the main story. After he left the Obama administration, he formed a consulting group that led to inquiries into questionable lobbying for foreign governments, including the Turkish government, and hazy business ties with Middle Eastern countries. Investigators working for the special counsel have questioned witnesses about Mr. Flynn's dealings with the Turkish government and whether he was secretly paid by Turkish officials during the campaign. After he left the White House, Mr. Flynn disclosed that the Turkish government had paid him more than $500,000 to represent its interests in a dispute with the United States. White House officials had been bracing for troublesome developments in the special counsel investigation, even as the president and some of his senior advisors had been saying in recent weeks that they believed Mr. Mueller was nearing the end of his probe. Mr. Trump was not scheduled to make any public comments on Friday, though Mr. Flynn's plea provided an awkward backdrop for remarks he was scheduled to give behind closed doors at an afternoon holiday reception with members of the news media. Correction, December 1, 2017. An earlier version of this article said Michael T. Flynn, the former national security advisor to President Trump, had pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI. He was expected to plead guilty but had not entered a plea when the article was first published. Michael S. Schmidt, Julie Hirschfeld.